said this next thing, and I don't know why people are so afraid to make comparisons. When I saw Brock Purdy play, I thought to myself, reminds me of Tom Brady. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh, white guy, playing quarterback, manager of the team, won all his games, doesn't make him Tom Brady, Dan. And I'm going to say, shut up, racist. Has nothing to do with being white. Has nothing to do with anything other than I think I did and I do. I thought Tom Brady was always the best thrower of the football. You can talk about Peyton Manning, but Peyton Manning looked like it took his entire body to make a throw. I thought Tom Brady threw the football better than anybody that I have seen play quarterback except Dan Marino. Never seen anybody release it as quick as Marino, float it if he needed to, fire it if he had to, touch on it to the side, whatever. He could make every throw every time in every situation under any kind of duress. That's how I looked at Dan Marino. Then I saw Tom Brady. And Tom Brady can sling the caca. Tom Brady put it on a dime. You want a ball in here? Tom Brady will drop it in. You want a ball in here? Tom Brady will fire it in. You got a guy in a little swing pass? Tom Brady will put it with touch out in front of him. Rarely did Tom Brady get a guy killed in the middle of the field. Well, Joe Staley, who is a legendary lineman for the 49ers, he sees the same thing. And here's what he says, and I don't understand this either. People like to stay away from the comparison of Brady and Brock Purdy because of what Tom ended up becoming for the NFL. Those are huge shoes to fill. But they're very similar. If you look at the makeup and the track that got there and getting their opportunity and not letting go of it. Well, let's go through that real quick. Now, what he's saying is, look, they were both late-round picks. They certainly both did not come in as a starter. They were both third probably on a depth chart, right? I mean, last year you had Garoppolo, then you had Trey Lance, and then you had Purdy. You know, I don't think Brady was ever third. I could be wrong about that, but you had Drew Bledsoe, who had just been signed to a monster deal, and Tom was sitting there. So, yes, late-round pick, not the first choice of the coach. I get that. It goes further. When you pair an offensive mind like Kyle Shanahan with the offensive weapons and a quarterback that is also on the same page mentally, you are seeing what that can be. I think people take away from Brock because he doesn't have the arm strength of Josh Allen. He won't have the wow plays, but he is incredibly accurate and a quick processor. Well, people say you got to be able to process. Now, processing means this. 3 or 4 things as told to me by NFL guys. First, you got to understand the play. Because if you don't understand the play, then you cannot execute the play. What does that mean? Play comes in. A lot of elements to the play. Well, you got to understand what's real in the play. What am I looking for first, second, or third? Then you got to understand what the coverages are when you come to the line. This is all a process. Then, if you stay in the play, you've got to understand what the defense is doing relative what the play calls for, and maybe the first look is to go down the sideline to the right. But you see that's going to be taken away, so you got to process what's second. Maybe a tight end over the middle. Then you got to process what would be third, a swing pass, whatever. That's processing. It doesn't mean you're dumb if you don't. It doesn't. Hell no. I mean, if you listen to what an NFL call is, it's like you got to be a nuclear scientist to figure the whole deal out. It's exhausting. So that's first. You get to the line. Now you got the coverages. Now you got the play. Now you got where you think you're going to go. Guess what happens? Defense shifts. They were camouflaging, going to a new thing. You got to process that. Then you got to figure out with your center or your captain on the offensive line, the protections. Now, all this has to happen in about 25 seconds. Period. Then you got to, that tap of the foot, you got to move people. There's a lot going on here for a quarterback. And to find a guy that can make all of this look simple, particularly in their second year, is unique. It's why rookies struggle. Rookies don't struggle in the NFL because they don't have the arm or because they suddenly have to throw it into tight windows that they couldn't in college. That is a little, the tight windows thing has a little bit to do with it. But the fact of the matter is, rookies struggle because they get fooled. They get fooled by the defense. They get fooled by their own play. Where am I supposed to go? Well, I'm not experienced enough, so I'm going to go either here or here. Well, guess what? The defense shifted. Now here or here isn't available. That's when you force things in. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when you got a problem. Well, I don't know about you, but it was probably good for Tom Brady to sit and watch for a little bit. Wasn't like he had to come in. He got to watch. And when you're the backup, guess what? It's like being an assistant coach. You got all the answers. I would have done this. Well, one of the reasons you have all the answers is because you have time to sit there and think about the question. You got a long time to sit there and think about the question. So I see what Joe Staley sees. I see a guy that can sling the caca. Hey, I'm not saying he's got the strongest arm in the world. Tom Brady had a really strong arm. People kiss my backside saying he didn't have a really strong arm. Tom Brady's arm was a howitzer. Tom Brady could get rid of that ball. He stood up strong, and his ball was very catchable. His ball spun. As we say in the business, he can spin it, baby. That's right. And I'm not mad at Brock Purdy for this comparison. I think this comparison is absolutely on point. And I don't know how anybody would be arguing with that comparison. All you got to do is watch. I mean, all you got to do, watch him and watch Baker Mayfield, different dudes. Watch him, watch Lamar Jackson, different dudes. Watch Anthony Richardson and Brock Purdy, different dudes. Doesn't mean one's better than the other. Doesn't mean that at all. It just means there's a lot of ways to go about the business of winning games in the NFL, and there's a lot of ways to go about being a quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is very unique because Patrick Mahomes, if you really watch Mahomes, have you ever seen anybody, maybe Josh Allen to a degree, that escapes things with the ball right here? He is moving, he's escaping, and he has the ball in ready, aim, fire position. Allen did it the other day, and he hit the tight end from Bowling Green right in the middle, running to his right, and just whipped it because his arm was ready. If you got to bring an arm from here to here and fire, that's too slow. NFL players are too fast, too athletic, too instinctive. But I'm down with you, Brock Purdy. I see what you're doing, and I'm down with what you're saying to me. I am. I'm down with what you're saying to me, Joe Staley. You ain't wrong. Good comparison. Solid. I ain't afraid to make that comparison this early. Well, Tom Brady's got 6 rings, man, 7 Super Bowls. You can't make that comparison. I just did. And I'll continue. So sue me.